On November 3rd, 1998, 8-year-old Maddie Clifton stepped outside to play in her neighborhood, something she had done countless times before. There were no warning signs, no strange encounters, nothing to suggest that this day would be any different from the rest. When Maddie didn't return home at her usual time, her parents weren't immediately alarmed. They assumed she was at a friend's house, just being a kid. But as the minutes turned into hours, that calm assumption gave way to fear. Soon, panic spread through the household and then through the entire neighborhood. Families poured into the streets. Volunteers searched yards, parks, and alleyways. Police officers combed every corner of the community, hoping to find some trace of the little girl who had seemingly vanished without a sound. What no one realized was that the truth behind Maddie's disappearance was far closer than anyone imagined. And when she was finally found, the discovery would expose one of the most disturbing and shocking cases in recent U.S. history. Maddie Clifton was born on June 17, 1990, in Jacksonville, Florida. She lived with her older sister, Jessica, in a quiet, middle-class neighborhood. It was a safe and friendly area. The houses were close together, neighbors knew each other, and children often played outside. Parents felt comfortable letting their kids run around the neighborhood while they watched from a distance. Maddie was an active and curious child. She loved moving around and learning new things. By the age of 8, she was taking piano lessons and joining different activities. Jessica was 3 years older and often stayed close to her younger sister. After school, they followed a normal routine, going outside to play with other kids. In their neighborhood, playing outside was a normal part of everyday life. On November 3rd, 1998, the day started like any other. In the late afternoon, Maddie's parents told her to go outside and play. Maddie did what she always did. She ran into the street to look for friends. She knocked on doors along the block, asking if anyone could come out. But that day, most of the kids were busy with homework or other things, and many were not allowed to play outside. Maddie didn't get upset. She stayed outside and played on her own while she waited. After some time, 2 or 3 other kids were finally able to join her. Together, they began playing with a few golf balls they had found, making up a simple game like children often do in the afternoon. At first, everything was simple and fun. The children threw the golf balls down the street. They tried to hit certain spots on the ground or see who could throw the ball the farthest. It was an easy game, the kind children often make up when they are just trying to pass time. As they kept playing, the balls began to roll away. Some went into the corners of the street, others disappeared between yards, bushes, and small gaps along the road. One by one, the golf balls were lost. Before long, the game became messy and unorganized. The children stopped and realized they did not have enough golf balls left to keep playing. They talked among themselves and agreed that without more balls, the game would have to end. That was when Maddie spoke up. She said she had more golf balls at her house and could go get them quickly. Her home was only 3 houses down the street, very close by. The other children agreed and told Maddie they would wait for her outside. None of them knew that this would be the last time they would ever see Maddie run off excitedly to continue playing. Maddie ran to her house and went inside. When she entered, she saw her older sister, Jessica, practicing the piano. Jessica was completely focused on her music. The sound of the door opening and Maddie moving around distracted Jessica. Feeling annoyed, Jessica told Maddie not to stay inside and to go back outside so she would not interrupt the piano practice. Maddie did not argue. She decided not to insist. She thought she would either look for the golf balls somewhere else in the house, or if she could not find any, she would simply go back outside and tell her friends that she did not have any extra balls. Around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, as Maddie's parents were preparing the table for dinner, they asked Jessica to go and bring her sister inside. Jessica got on her bike and rode to the spot where the children usually played. When she arrived, Maddie's friends told her that Maddie had already gone home sometime earlier. Hearing this, Jessica became confused. Maddie should have been there. Jessica did not give up. She began riding her bike around the block, calling out her sister's name. She rode through several nearby streets, stopping to check if Maddie had gone to a friend's house or was playing somewhere else in the neighborhood. But no one had seen Maddie. After searching and finding nothing, Jessica returned home and told her parents that she could not find her sister anywhere. That was the moment her parents realized something was seriously wrong. They contacted the police and reported Maddie missing.
Her name is Maddie. She goes, it's Madeline.
What's her last name?
Clifton.
How old is she?
She's 8 years old.
Where was she playing at around the house?
Right around the house here. She had on a pair of shorts and a red t-shirt.
When's the last time anybody saw her?
4:30 to 5 o'clock. About 5:30 was the last time we saw her. And I was letting the kids play out here for a little while, and then she disappeared.
The first 7 days after Maddie disappeared were intense and terrifying. Everyone understood that the more time passed, the lower the chances were of finding a missing child alive. From the very first day, the police took the case seriously. Officers went door to door throughout the neighborhood, speaking with residents and questioning anyone who might have seen Maddie. They focused especially on the children who had been playing with her earlier that afternoon, trying to understand exactly what happened and retrace Maddie's last movements. Every one of the children told the same story. Maddie had said she was going home to get more golf balls, and she never returned. Many neighbors admitted they had not seen Maddie at all that day. She had only been outside for a short time, less than 2 hours, and not everyone was home or paying attention during that window. To many people, it seemed as if Maddie had simply vanished without a trace. The disappearance of an 8-year-old girl deeply shocked the entire community and left everyone fearful and on edge. Neighbors, search teams, police officers, and sniffer dogs all began searching right away. People printed and handed out flyers with Maddie's picture on them. Volunteers checked houses, walked through yards, and asked questions. Every possible lead was followed, no matter how small, in the hope that it would lead to Maddie. Maddie's parents were overwhelmed with fear and panic. They stayed close to home, constantly hoping for any news or sign of their daughter. Days passed with no answers. After 1 full week without progress, the police decided the case needed more help. They contacted federal authorities and brought in the FBI to assist with the investigation. The police also began looking closely at possible suspects. One suspect was a man who lived a few streets away from Maddie's home. Many years earlier, about 15 to 20 years before, he had been accused of sexual abuse and had served time in prison. However, there was no evidence connecting him to Maddie's disappearance. Also, his past cases did not involve children, so investigators had little reason to believe he was involved. Another suspect was an older man around 45 years old who was often seen watching children play in the neighborhood. To many neighbors, he appeared harmless. He told people he simply enjoyed watching kids because it reminded him of his own childhood and insisted he meant no harm. When police questioned him, he was able to provide a strong alibi for the time Maddie went missing. However, he failed a polygraph test, which raised suspicion and caused investigators to look more closely at him. But polygraph tests are not perfect and can be wrong. There was no real reason to hold the man based on that test alone, so in the end, he was cleared as a suspect. Across the street from the Cliftons lived the Phillips family, neighbors who were very close to them. The Phillips had a 14-year-old son named Joshua, plus 2 older children who had already moved out. In practice, Joshua grew up like an only child. The Phillips were very involved in the search for Maddie. They lived so close that they felt the tragedy as if it were their own. They did everything they could to support the Cliftons during the investigation. Joshua, in particular, threw himself into helping. He printed flyers, organized their distribution around town, and seemed genuinely worried about Maddie. On November 10th, exactly 1 week after Maddie disappeared, Joshua's mother, Melissa, was home alone. Joshua had already left for school, and her husband was at work. While she was cleaning the house, Melissa noticed a strong smell coming from Joshua's room. Joshua had a few pet birds, and their cage stayed in his bedroom. He rarely cleaned it, so a constant odor was normal. But that day, Melissa decided she could not leave it like that anymore. She thought, since he's not here, I'll take the chance to clean everything and give the room a proper scrub. She started by cleaning the bird cage and tidying up the room, but the smell was much stronger than usual. Something felt wrong. When she looked at Joshua's bed, she noticed that the waterbed was leaking. She thought, it's probably the mattress, maybe mold or just water. I'll need to fix this. But when she lifted the sheet, she saw that Joshua had already tried to patch the leak himself. There was a hole, and he had covered it with several layers of tape. But inside the mattress, there was something stuck, a sock. Melissa tried to pull the sock out, but it would not come free. The more she tugged, the more it seemed like something was trapped inside the mattress. That was when the horrifying truth came out. Maddie's body was inside the waterbed. It was unbelievable, something no one could ever imagine. Melissa, Joshua's mother, went into full panic. You can picture the scene. A whole week spent desperately searching for the neighbor's daughter, the entire community involved. And suddenly, her body was right there, hidden under her own 14-year-old neighbor's bed. Melissa immediately called her husband at work to explain what had happened, but it went straight to voicemail. She could not wait. She knew she had to act fast. Remembering that police were still at Maddie's house, she ran down the street to tell them what she had found. The officers called for backup and rushed to Joshua's room, preparing themselves for a reality that nobody wanted to believe. Meanwhile, Steve and Sheila, Maddie's parents, were in their living room, watching TV and waiting for news about their daughter. Now, imagine the shock when the neighbor appeared and brought the terrible news. The impact was massive. But the worst part was still to come. Maddie's body was found partially clothed. She had been brutally beaten with a baseball bat and stabbed multiple times. When police entered Joshua's room to search for evidence, the first thing they did was remove Maddie's body. That's when more disturbing details began to appear. Inside the closet, they found a sneaker covered in blood. There were blood stains on the ceiling, and the murder weapons, the baseball bat and a knife, were carefully hidden, the knife tucked behind Joshua's TV. What shocked investigators the most was a missing person poster from Maddie, placed right in front of Joshua's bed. From the very first investigation of Joshua's room, two things became clear to police. First, the murder had happened right there, inside his own room. Second, the attack had been so brutal that blood had splattered all the way up to the ceiling. With this evidence, officers immediately went to Joshua's school and arrested him.
I'm here to announce the arrest of Joshua Earl Patrick Phillips.
Joshua was born on March 17, 1984, in Pennsylvania. In the early 1990s, his family moved to Florida and settled right across the street from the Cliftons. Around the same time Maddie was born, Joshua's father had a reputation for being extremely strict and violent, both toward his wife and Joshua. Reports say he would fly into a rage if he ever caught Joshua playing inside the house with other children while the parents were not around. Once in police custody, Joshua began telling his version of what happened. He said he had been playing baseball at home when Maddie showed up and asked to join him. At first, he hesitated, knowing his dad would be angry if other kids were in the house unsupervised. But Maddie insisted, and he finally let her in. According to Joshua, he accidentally hit Maddie in the face with the baseball. The moment it happened, Maddie started crying and screaming for help. Joshua panicked. He was worried about how his father would react to having a child in the house alone, and on top of that, Maddie had been hurt. He said he dragged Maddie from the backyard into his room. To make her stop screaming, he claimed he strangled her and hit her with the baseball bat. After that, he said he placed her unconscious body inside the waterbed before his parents came home around 5 in the afternoon, the same time. Sheila had reported Maddie missing. Joshua went on to say that later that day, before nightfall, he removed the body from the waterbed, slit her throat, and put her back inside. That's how Maddie's body stayed hidden for 7 days. During that time, Joshua admitted he bought products to try to cover up the smell. When police asked him what he planned to do with the body, he said he didn't know. He claimed he usually didn't make decisions like that and was just letting life happen, hoping somehow things would work themselves out. He had no real plan. Unsurprisingly, Joshua was charged with first-degree murder. The defense argued that he was just a lost, desperate teenager acting without full awareness of his actions. But contradictions began to appear. Plenty of evidence suggested that things did not happen the way Joshua claimed. There are several theories about what really happened, but what Maddie's sister revealed is especially shocking. She said that at the time, both she and Maddie had been forbidden by their parents to have any contact with Joshua. This came after he had made a very inappropriate sexual joke in front of the girls. Scared, they told their parents, who then decided they did not want their daughters interacting with him at all. That makes it even stranger to think that Maddie, an 8-year-old and very obedient child, would have gone to Joshua's house alone to ask to play baseball with him. Maddie would not have gone there on her own, knowing her parents could have seriously scolded her. On top of that, the autopsy showed that there were no injuries consistent with being hit in the face by a baseball. The first injury investigators found was that Maddie had been suffocated for about 15 minutes. This alone would not have killed her, but it would have caused her to panic and struggle desperately to get free. It was at that moment, according to Joshua, that he grabbed the baseball bat and struck Maddie. Afterward, he put her under the waterbed. But when he lay on the bed, he realized she was still alive and moaning. That's when he pulled Maddie out from under the waterbed, grabbed a knife, and began attacking her, striking her chest and face. Another disturbing detail is that Maddie was found without the lower part of her clothes, no pants, and no underwear. Her shirt was rolled all the way up to her neck. Maddie was only wearing socks and that shirt. For many people, this raised suspicions that the crime might have had a sexual motive. However, the autopsy did not show any signs of sexual abuse. What the investigation revealed was even more disturbing. About 30 minutes before the crime, Joshua had been watching violent pornography. After killing Maddie, he reportedly went back to watching the same type of content just half an hour later. There are two ways to interpret Joshua's behavior that day. One theory suggests that he might have been influenced by the violent content he was watching. When he saw Maddie, he decided to act criminally. The other theory is that it might not have had a direct effect at all. He was just going through his day, committed the crime, and then tried to continue as if nothing had happened. Joshua also tried to explain what happened to Maddie's clothes. He claimed that when he pulled her out of the waterbed, her pants, underwear, and shoes came off on their own. Another point is that Joshua claimed he dragged Maddie across the yard into his room. But forensic investigators found no evidence to support that. There were no marks on her body and no traces of grass or dirt. Maddie's sister also pointed out that Joshua's yard was far too small to play baseball. Most of it was taken up by a pool, which made it impossible to actually practice the sport there. Some experts and observers believe the crime might have been premeditated. This theory is partly based on Joshua's history of watching pornography, including content involving minors. Even though he was still a teenager, the videos featured much younger children. This raises questions about what kind of impulses he might have had when he saw Maddie on the street. We cannot know for sure, but this is one theory about what might have led to the crime. One of the most accepted explanations goes like this. Maddie had gone to her house to get some golf balls, but her sister asked her to leave because she was busy practicing piano. Maddie then needed to find the golf balls somewhere else, and remembered that Joshua had some at his house. She saw him outside and asked if she could borrow them. According to this theory, Joshua agreed to let Maddie get the golf balls, but he told her they were in his room and that she would have to come inside to get them. That is how he supposedly lured Maddie into the house alone. According to the theory, he intended to commit an assault. It's believed he may have started trying to remove her clothes, which would explain why she was found in the state she was. When Maddie realized what he was attempting, she reportedly began screaming, crying, and calling for help. According to this theory, that is when the situation escalated into murder. Joshua likely realized that if he let her go, Maddie would tell her parents, his neighbors, who would surely take action. What may have started as an attempted assault turned into something far more serious. In Joshua's mind, he probably knew he was doing something wrong and that he would face serious consequences, especially with such a strict and controlling father. Fear is believed to have driven him into a panic, which led to Maddie's murder. This is the most widely accepted theory about the case. It fits with what is known, but nothing has ever been confirmed for certain. Joshua's trial began on July 6, 1999, and lasted just 2 days. The case attracted huge media attention. The trial had to be moved to a city outside Jacksonville because nearly everyone in the area had been involved in the search and knew about the case. To serve on the jury, people had to have no prior knowledge of the case to make sure they could be completely impartial.
As you are aware, Joshua Phillips, age 14, has been arrested and is in custody at the Juvenile Detention Center. He was arrested for the murder of Maddie Clifton, which occurred on November the 3rd, 1998. This Thursday, the case will be presented to the Duval County Grand Jury. I will urge a first-degree murder indictment be returned. He will be tried as an adult.
The jury deliberated for about 2 hours before finding Joshua guilty of first-degree murder. On August 26th, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
The jury finds the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree as charged in the indictment.
Joshua Earl Patrick Phillips, it is the sentence of this court that you be confined in prison without the benefit of parole for the rest of your natural life.
Even though Joshua was only 14 at the time, he was tried as an adult. This was mainly for 2 reasons: the extreme brutality of the crime, and the fact that he had 2 chances to save Maddie but did not take either one. The first chance Joshua had to stop came when he tried to strangle Maddie and she started screaming. Even then, he kept attacking her and hit her with a baseball bat. After that, he put her body inside the waterbed, then took her out again and stabbed her. During all of this, he could have done something to help her, but he did nothing. Even worse, Joshua actively joined in the searches for Maddie, but he kept the secret to himself and didn't tell anyone. A shocking detail that came out during the trial and that Maddie's sister didn't even know was that Joshua had a deep obsession with her sister. Investigators found a photo of Jessie, Maddie's sister, in Joshua's room. When Jessie's parents were asked about it, they said they had never seen the photo. It was also discovered that years earlier, Jessie's house had been broken into, and some items had gone missing, including that same photo. Police concluded that Joshua had stolen it. This detail supports a disturbing theory in Joshua's twisted mind. Maddie's sister may have been out of reach, so he redirected his impulses toward Maddie instead. Maddie's sister said she never imagined Joshua had such an intense obsession, and that it ended up playing a major role in what happened to Maddie. In 2012, the U.S. Supreme Court made a major ruling. The court decided that automatic life sentences without parole for crimes committed by minors were unconstitutional. This ruling did not mean that all juvenile offenders would be released, but it did mean that their sentences had to be reviewed. For the first time, Joshua Phillips had a legal path to ask for a new sentencing hearing. For Maddie's family, especially her sister Jessie, this news was terrifying.
He has all these certificates and he's a monk now and has found peace with his life, and that's great, but I still don't get to talk to Maddie. I still don't get to watch her graduate from high school, watch her graduate from college, watch her get married. I don't get to do any of that, and I just don't think that it's fair. I don't think it's fair that he does. Forgiveness is not in my hands. I am a Christian. I believe in God, and I feel like at the end of the day, that's not my job.
As they wait for a final decision from the judge, Jessie is enjoying her new home.
This is Maddie's room right here.
Her childhood home.
Kept our doors open and would yell at each other through here in the middle of the night and tell each other stories, and she'd end up in my bedroom and, "Sissy, can I come sleep with you?"
Where she says she plans to stay forever.
This was the best years of my life. And so being here, it just feels like I'm home.
Classes that the defendant has been able to take. What classes has Maddie been able to take over the past 18 years?
I didn't walk her down the aisle at her wedding, and we were not given the gift of her grandchildren. All taken by one evil, senseless act, and we don't know why.
We were raising our girls in a Christian home where we prayed every day. What we didn't know was that the devil himself had moved in right across the street. The same devil that picked up his flashlight and proceeded to look for her, knowing good and well where she was the whole time.
Now, has he really changed? I hope he has. That's a good thing if he has. I will concede that he's been a model prisoner. The question is, does that guarantee that he will be a model citizen out in society when he has access to pornography? And number two, he has access to young girls. The most troubling thing about this case to me is that we still have that why question out there.
Jessie spoke openly about her fear that Joshua might one day be released. She said Maddie would never get the chance to grow up, live her life, or have a future. So she could not understand why the man who killed her should ever be given that chance. In 2017, Joshua was brought back to court for resentencing. The judge reviewed the case carefully, looking at the details of the crime, Joshua's age at the time, and his behavior since being imprisoned. The court also heard statements from Maddie's family, who described the lifelong pain and loss caused by her murder. During this hearing, Joshua took the stand and spoke directly to Maddie's family.
I've wanted to say this for a very long time, and I'm grateful that this chance to do so in person has arrived. I don't pretend to know or understand your pain or to grasp the void that I've created in your lives. I can say this: I do understand pain. I have become quite intimate with suffering. Growing up in prison, I have seen many dark things, and I've been to some dark places. Many times throughout this journey, I came dreadfully close to ending my life just to escape it all. Guilt, despair, pain, hopelessness, fear, and shame. Each time, I was somehow able to continue on, mostly because I couldn't stand to put my mother to any more trauma. She's been through enough. I did something horrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what happened. Even now, after all these years, it is just unfathomable that all this could have occurred. It tears my mind asunder to know that I stole such a precious life from you, from the world. I pray every day that you're able to live your lives in spite of the injury I've caused you. I'm supremely grateful to have an opportunity at physical freedom. Yet any joy that arises in my heart is immediately tempered by the knowledge that these proceedings bring all involved once again, face to face with the horror that occurred in 1998. When I walked the rec yard here in chains, I looked to the sky through mesh wiring, and I thank God repeatedly for giving me hope. My next breath is always devoted to wishing peace and healing upon you all. My hopes, fears, and wishes probably mean nothing to you, but they are there all the same. May you know peace. May you be free from suffering. May God bless you and heal your wounds as much as possible. Thank you, Your Honor.
He apologized for what he had done and expressed regret, saying he was sorry for the pain he caused. However, for Maddie's family, the apology did not erase what had happened. The damage was permanent. After considering all the evidence and testimony, the judge decided to uphold the original sentence. Joshua Phillips was sentenced to life in prison, making it clear that he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. For several years, that decision appeared final. However, in 2025, the case took another unexpected turn. Joshua Phillips' sentence was once again brought under judicial review. This time, the judge listened to new arguments from both the defense and Maddie's family. After hearing both sides, the judge chose to postpone a final decision. Because of that delay, Joshua's life sentence still remains in place, but the possibility of reconsideration now exists in the future. Even decades after Maddie Clifton's murder, the case is not truly over. It continues to reopen old wounds, raise painful questions, and deeply affect the family and the community. This case stands as a haunting reminder that the consequences of one violent act can last a lifetime and far beyond. If you found this case informative, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Sharing this story helps keep Maddie's memory alive and supports true crime awareness.